Oh, I fantasize about lighting my canvases on fire and throwing them off my balcony on a daily basis. Yes. It's like imposter syndrome, I guess you want to call it. I think every artist probably suffers from that a lot. You have this little pesky voice that's like, why are you doing this? You're spending so much time on this. Like, do something more productive with your life. Why are you spending so much money on materials? Why are you doing all of this? And it's easy to have that voice. It's hard to shrug it off. But I think for me, what I think of my art is first and foremost the most important thing. Everything else to me is background noise. There's going to be people who hate it. There's going to be people who like it. And to be honest, that's their prerogative. I'm not really doing the art with the sense that, oh, this is really going to wow an audience, or oh wow, this is going to be sold. Like I don't work on that type of basis. This is really kind of like a therapy for myself. A lot of the work you'll notice has little messages incorporated into them, okay? I guess I kind of have to go back to what's been going on in the world for the last 2 years. I mean, life is hard in general, but the last 2 years I think have been quite difficult for a lot of people, myself included. So in 2020, I lost my grandmother and my father months apart, and that was really, really, really heavy. I experienced being separated from my partner for the first time, and I was moving to a new country. Like, I was just visiting Canada. So I think it was easy to say that, like, keeping your emotions at bay was looking like a losing battle for me. And so the art has always been a release from everything. It's like the one time I don't check my phone. It's the one time that, like, nobody can call me, message me, everything's on do not disturb. And through that, I started putting these little messages in the paintings. And to be honest, they started creeping in. Like they were kind of creeping in, and then I didn't really realize that I was even doing that. So I feel like, in a sense, they're almost like little messages to me, like little love letters to myself. I'm a big advocate of, like, the way you talk to yourself, right? I feel like sometimes we're so much nicer to our friends or even strangers than we are to ourselves, and we have to kind of stop and be aware of how far we've come. For me, they're almost like little messages to me, but for other people, for example, for a collector, for example, they might resonate with that emotion or that feeling or that aspect of life, and they buy the painting, and they really only have to read the messages once to know what is the tone of the canvas. And then, of course, when you put it up on your wall, I just feel like it's always going to send you that vibration subconsciously, of maybe heightening your day or being a little bit more positive throughout the day. So yeah, and now the tiny messages are here to stay. I think they'll be in every painting pretty much. As of recently, I've just become very obsessed with allowing the paint to give off a feeling like something is of brilliance, that it's shiny, that it's metallic, that it's reflective. I'm heavily inspired by both realism and abstract. The realism brings this type of seriousness to it, and then the playful, childlike, non-realistic, abstract part of it brings that tone down a little bit. So I almost want to coin the art like affirmation art, if you will. Every image, I want it to have this feeling of, like, it giving you almost like a pat on the back, like a pat on the back that you might not be giving yourself on a regular basis. That's what I'm trying to portray through the paintings. This whole journey is just us trying to shape ourselves into the best version of ourselves. It's really, 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 really rare for you to become a successful artist. Like, all the elements, all the factors have to be in there together. And even some of the artists that you might look up to, who you think are making bank off their art, they're not. So we can talk about external success if you want, right? Like, how many galleries do you show at? How many paintings do you sell, right? Who do you know in the art community? Who's critiquing your art? Right? Sure, we can use that as success. But then how many of those artists deeply hate their own work? You know, so for me, it's not so much about what you're doing on the outside. It's, are you happy with your work? Are you happy with the art? You know, for me, that's my success game. You know, am I gonna get to that point where I'm like, this is exactly what I've been working towards, this whole idea, this whole dynamic of what the art is. Like, this is my aha moment. Everything else is like great. Everything else is like a bonus. You know what I mean? Like, I do the art part-time, right? Like, I wish I did it full-time, but at the moment, everything is part-time. You have the tech days, then you have painting days, or you have brainstorming days, or I have inspo days. So here in Barcelona, I mean, it's just littered with inspiration just everywhere. So I might have days where I feel a little bit of a block and I'm like, you know what? It's time to like visit a museum, or it's time to just go down the street. I mean, it's Art Nouveau heaven in here. So it's really inspiring. When I'm sitting around doing nothing and thinking about painting, there's no inspiration there. When I'm doing the work, when I'm actually sitting and painting, that's when all these storylines come. It's like this little dance that I have in my head, you know? So I'm a big advocate of you going after that burning little desire that you have. That's literally the hardest part, I feel, is getting past that vulnerability stage, because everything else is so easy. So my signature move is pretty much abandoning a lot of projects that I start, regardless of the time and the effort and the money put into it. And you know, after doing that so many times, you know, I just always hear my father like, Karina, like, for the love of God, can you just finish something for once, you know? And so I feel like I've done that so many times that this time I'm it's like an ode to myself and to him, that I'm gonna try to follow along this art journey and see where it takes me, and for once think about the next 3 years or 5 years or 10 years, you know? Okay, so if you're looking to see a little bit more of my work, you can go directly to the website, so KarinaAlexandra.com. And if you're looking to see a bit more of like an online gallery, obviously you can hop over to Instagram, and my handle is yours truly, Kari.